Who said Dad.AI?
Bow, bow, out. In Gargani.
We'll say it really quickly. This is Dad.AI.
And here, I heard
Try it.
Urban Van Barry.
What is Dad.AI? Welcome to Dad.AI, the #1 podcast at the intersection of parenting and AI. Jakey boy, what's one fun fact that you learned this week as it pertains to AI and parenting?
Parenting. Well, I like this new segment. You and I are spending a lot of time in the industry picking up stuff. I thought it was interesting. I read this and I tried it out. AI is incredibly bad at naming. So like it's this great brainstorming partner. You can use it to come up with a whole business plan, whatever. But if you ask it to like come up with a name for your toy, your business, whatever, it's going to give you the most generic 2 words put together as 1 word that you could possibly think of. And that's just like, it's just this weird gap in knowledge, training, whatever, that it has no ability to come up with unique names. And I think it's the fact that a name is this kind of like symbolic thing that has a lot of like intonation, undertones in it, that it's just an area that of incompetence that I thought was interesting and worth highlighting. What's one interesting thing you learned this week, Brendan?
So piggybacking off of that, I did this like babysitter club logo for our family friends' daughters. They're 10 and 9, right? And they used me as their AI guy. And I prompted something stupid, and it was just like the most generic name because I'm just, I was not being creative, and they were even like, "This is lame." So on that note, I had another buddy that was like, "Dude, AI is not that cool. It's it's as good as Google search. I'm getting the same results." And the fun fact that I've really kind of come to terms with is AI is only as good as the user. Garbage in means garbage out. And so the way that you prompt the machine is really going to dictate the results that you get from it. So that's kind of my fun fact of the week as it pertains to, individual or household use.
Yeah, I think AI, the context. AI is always goes to the context, and the context comes to the prompt or the like files you upload into it. But yeah, like to expect some magic in it, but you're not going to put in the like 10% effort to get it is unrealistic. So that's a really good one.
Sydney the other day was like giving education to our friends when we were out at this wedding this weekend. She was like, you got to give the context. You got to tell them where you are, who you you should be acting as. I was like, proud husband moment.
Yeah, well, I think she's been listening to the pod. All right, let's get going here. I love this. Let's keep experimenting. I like that as the top of the show. Bull versus bear. This is where we take 3 topics. You and I each take one side of it. We haven't actually discussed which sides we're going to take on it, so I'm going to actually let you pick. I'll read them to you and let you pick each one if you want to be bull versus bear. The first topic for bull versus bear. First topic for bull versus bear. AI and creative expression or critical thinking in children. Brian, is AI helping or hurting kids in their critical thinking skills? So bull here would mean AI is helping critical thinking. Bear is that it's turning them into robots. Which side are you taking?
This one's an easy bear case for me. So
why is that?
I think that there's so much, like you look at all the research like from MIT with cognitive debt, so on and so forth. You look at all the research on how this is stunting kids, imaginations and creativity. I think there's a notion of, and you look at our generation with social media, that crippled our social skills for a lot of people. I think that there's probably a lot of research being done on why like the millennials are the big drinking generation, because you use that to like offset your social anxiety, your fears. And so it goes back to, from an AI perspective, I think these kids that are just using it as a constant crutch where they can't think of new ideas. They just use it to automatically, they're going to your buddy Chuck. They're automatically going to that research or that tool to be their co-pilot. And they could be from the dumbest things or dumbest use cases to creating that logo or creating a story for me, to actually writing papers, to problem solving an actual math question. And so, when you and I were in class, you would have to go through, you would have to memorize these formulas, and some of that is irrelevant information that you never use ever again. But you had to work through a problem. I don't think a lot of kids have to go through that exercise. And I do think that that's going to provide pretty substantial, like, mental impact on the future generations.
Memorizing formulas sure does sound like creative expression, Brian. You're absolutely, except that you're wrong. AI is going to enable a new wave of creative expression. I think one of the amazing things about paintbrushes is that all you need to do is you have to hold it and put paint on it and you can just paint. That's never been true for things in software engineering and in digital creation. There's always been, whether it's you need to know Photoshop, you need to know how to code. There's been these barriers to entry to create anything like online digitally. And those barriers are coming down. And I could not be more excited, whether it's your niece creating a vibe coding a piggy bank app, or whether it's, creating images in Midjourney that kind of mix two different like concepts together with different styles behind them. Like all of these things that were never possible before unlock a new generation of creatives. Now, if I go into so I got a speeding ticket recently. I took driving school, and for the entire driving school, I just copied everything from and pasted in ChatGPT. It took my driving school for me. That is not creative, and that is not a good use of AI. I will admit it. However, and same thing with doing your homework. If you just go in, put the question in, have it spit out an essay and paste it, not creative expression. In fact, that is terrible for you. But that is a very cynical way of using AI. It's a very incorrect way of using AI. And AI, when used correctly, which it will be as we get more educated, is going to unlock a wave of creativity.
I couldn't agree more on that sentiment. I just, I'm always about 2 years, 3 years time. And today, no. Second topic, this is kind of on the same take, but for parents. Do you think AI is going to help parent intuition, or it's going to create an over-reliance on AI can maybe diminish parenting or parental intuition?
Yeah, I'm going to surprise you and take bear, not because I feel bearish on it, but because I try to, learn from and take both sides of an issue. So I don't have any parental intuition. I've never needed parental intuition. Just like my wife can't go anywhere without GPS because she's never needed to go anywhere without GPS. And I will say that I do think that AI has totally eroded parental intuition, and that I don't know when to go to the hospital if Jonah's sick. I will ask ChatGPT, and there's two problems with that. One is, what if ChatGPT is wrong? What if it's hallucinating? Or what if, back to your last thing, what if I misprompted it and I make a decision based on an output that is incorrect? And the second one is what if I don't always have access to this? What if my phone behind, or I'm in an area with no cell reception? There are a lot of different reasons why parental intuition is probably an important thing to have. And I do think it is certainly being eroded, and probably something that we should be thinking more about and pushing ourselves to develop further. That's my bear case. What's your bull case?
I mean, the bull case is knowledge is power, right? But I think the flip of that is, no one, as a parent, you could read all the textbooks, you could do all the courses in the world, but until you're actually practicing it, it's like riding a bike. Read a book about riding a bike and you won't know what the hell you're doing until you get on the damn thing. Same thing with parenting. That being said, I do think the more knowledge that you're getting, the more insights, the more telemetry that you're getting on how to identify a problem for your child, or how to be a better parent using XYZ tools. I think it can accelerate the value that we can provide to our household, while still maintaining that intuition. Damn well, the type of cry that Eden has. Is that a tummy ache? Is she just whining? Is it you don't have to rely on Chuck for that type of stuff. But if you're determining, does that bruise, is it internal bleeding? Is it, something that warrants a call to the doctor? Yeah, that Copilot pays massive dividends as a parent.
Well said. I'm sold. I'm a bear again. Or I'm a bull again. All right, last topic. Is AI, Brian, going to create a massive income and knowledge divide? Is it going to increase inequity in terms of both income and knowledge? Or is it going to reduce it and create a more equal society? Up to you. Surprise me. Do you want to be the bull versus the bear here?
I think most cases I'm going to be bear, and the bear here, I guess, is the pro,
Sure.
right? It's going to reduce equity, or sorry, it's going to
You-
improve equity. So I'm going to
Well,
take.
no, are you an
I
AI?
got it flipped. Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to actually take the case that it's going to reduce like the divide, right? It's going to help people get access to information, and the same thing happened, to some extent with the .com era. .com era was only the techies, only the engineers, only the people in Silicon Valley had access to this wealth, had access to this technology. But if you see that play out, like there were local markets across New York, London, Chicago, Atlanta, Nashville, like all these tech hubs started to pop up because people had access to the same code, the same technology, the same tooling, applications. And so the democratization of this information is, it's invaluable. Now, how people are using it and utilizing it, that's where this knowledge, and that's where, great Samaritans like Dad.AI come into play, of educating parents, educating children, educating the next generations on how and when and why and where they should be utilizing this technology. So for me personally, I think access is going to increasingly reduce the divide, the knowledge gap, the income gap, because anyone has has this technology at their fingertips.
Yeah, I'll go bear here, and I actually do believe that it's going to be a big driver of inequality, both in the short term and in the long term. In the short term, we're already seeing, we shared last week the report from Lego that 52% of private school kids use AI versus 18% of public school kids use AI. Like AI is already like a luxury good today. And same thing with the internet. Internet access today in America is obviously like pretty wide, but like globally, like it's a function of GDP and of education. And like it has helped a lot of countries bridge the gap, but there's some great examples like Nigeria that bat above their weight in terms of internet and education penetration relative to GDP, and has driven growth through that. But like a lot of counterexamples as well. And now like we're in a place where there are, in the short term, folks that are getting educated on AI, kids that are getting educated on AI, and that's going to, I think, be a huge boon for them. That is going to definitely bias toward higher income, developed countries, et cetera. And I think it's going to create a massive short-term divide. Then in the long term, there's like the compute problem, and like, how do you pay for compute if you're not a rich country? And then like, there's an energy problem, which is how do you actually provide the energy to power all these data centers? And that's going to lead to potentially pollution in certain parts of the world that are less affluent. So I think there's a lot of reasons why AI risks actually creating a greater divide. And that's something that I'm very scared of, and that we should be talking more.
Yes to all of that.
All right, let's move on. We are entering a very big week of news. So let's do the news wire. We have a couple of really big headlines this week. I'm going to switch it up a little, and I'm going to start with Pope Leo. Can I start with the Pope? Well, like I think there's also, I know the MIT study was a couple of weeks ago, but let's talk about Pope Leo plus the MIT study. So Pope Leo said in a Vatican message last week or a couple of days ago, AI could stunt intellectual, neurological, and spiritual growth for youth. This comes on the heels of an MIT study a couple of weeks ago that using AI is basically making our brains turn into silly putty, and that by over-reliance on these tools, we're not thinking ourselves, we're becoming less responsive, reactive, and creative. AI users show 83% lower recall of their own work, struggling to significantly to quote sentences they had just written, some scary shit. And so then, the Pope's remarks were, and this is the brand new Pope, the guy from Chicago or Philadelphia, wherever he's from. Data access does not equal true wisdom. Tech must nurture and not replace human judgment. And we have to have some sort of global alignment around how does AI fit into humanity? And how does AI ethics become a codified part of our society? What do you think, Brian?
You called it silly putty. I have like vivid, like what immediately came to my head was like those Dare commercials where the guy's like melting on the couch. that's like when we use these things as a crutch. I mean, I'm so glad I was right, or in the earlier part of this episode. But when you're just constantly pinging AI and these tools and not using your brain for anything, like even for social interaction, when you're having a AI girlfriend or co-pilot, like yeah, I think it's a very slippery slope. And I like that Sam Altman recently came out saying like this patchwork concept for all the states creating regulation and different policies, it's going to be a nightmare for us because unless there's a global status standard framework that everyone is adopting, and maybe it's not global, it could be national. That's fine. At least it's from a national perspective versus a state perspective, which is going to be completely fragmented and just broken. I think at the end of the day, we do need adults coming into the room and laying the foundation and laying the framework on how and when and why and where you should be using these tools to your advantage. And then also give the downside risk of it by bringing this into your home. Here are the risks for your kids using this on a daily, weekly, minute by minute basis.
Very scary, interesting. I think it's like about the correct, like, I think one of the themes in Submersion episode is like, if you use it correctly, your brain will return to silly putty, etc. It can be an amazing innovation partner with you, but if you use it wrong, your brain turns into silly.
All right. I mean, this is the reason why I'm doing this podcast with you is I like the social interaction, not talking about, yes, we're talking about AI all day long, but like, again, it's that social interaction. So
I love it.
On that,
let's do the Neuralink one.
I was gonna pull this up again. Alex Wang, big guy in the news, CEO of Scale AI, recently got acquired.
Didn't get acquired. Wrong. Scale AI, Facebook bought 49%.
All right.
And Aqua hired him to run their superintelligence division. But go on.
Thank you for the disclaimer there and the fact check. But he recently came out and he said that he's waiting for brain-computer interfaces like Neuralink to advance enough to merge babies' brains with AI from birth. I get the upside maybe, but I mean, what's your sense on that?
What's the upside? You seem skeptical, so go on.
Look, the upside, I think where I saw the upside, not necessarily for babies, but like there's an article of some guy that actually used one of these brain implants who had ALS. And so he could use this interface to provide his thoughts, to change one of the decors in his house. And so I like the fact of, from a health perspective, for people that are disabled to be able to use these. Now, from a at birth perspective, your kid doesn't even have choice. Like, I think that's wild just to immediately implant something into their brain. Why on earth do you need that?
But I was hoping there is a bull case here. I'm not sure I agree with it, but I'd like to at least lay it out so that our audience can consider it. So, we talk a lot about AI literacy and how important it is for kids to be like learning during their developmental stages so that they know how to like type correctly into ChatGPT and ask questions and get answers. But so this is basically an extension of that, in that if you like, so Neuralink, which is basically the infusing of human and machine intelligence. Yes, if you do with someone that has ALS, they can't move their body anymore. They're able to like cursory interact with their phone. The idea here is that if you create this connection at the start of life, they're able to natively access and interact with technology in a way that like would potentially enable like we're talking about like AI literacy. It's like native AI symbiosis. And whether you agree with it or not, it's at least worth like it's not like so far the Neuralink use cases are all about like, I'm paralyzed, I want to be able to like do something mythical. This is like, I believe that humans and AI should have a symbiotic relationship where they can truly interact together. And the only way to do so is to start it from not like youth.
Yeah, I think at birth is wild. Like, let the kid breathe, let the kid see the light for the first time. Like, just to implant them at. I'm frightened about that world, and I've said that on many topics before.
I don't think he said at birth. I think he said but yeah, yes, maybe I agree. I think he's also like making like an extreme point of an extreme example, but
Yes.
like again, like I feel like his big point, which is something our big point, which is like you have to grow up with AI literacy to survive in this world of AI. He's taking that what today feels like 10 steps further, but like might not be that crazy at some point in the world.
Yeah, I agreed.
I wouldn't do it, but yeah.
I'm glad.
All right,
Uh,
can I do the next one? All
bring
right,
it on.
Barbie, but she talks to you and you talk back to her. What do you think? All right, so Mattel partners with OpenAI on building a line of AI toys. OpenAI is going to embed its models in age-appropriate toys and digital play experiences. Barbie, Hot Wheels, everything is on the table right now. And the idea is that they're going to take these legendary brands and bring intelligence and interactivity to them to create kind of the next wave of toys of a toy category and do so in a safe way that could make the toys at least a lot more engaging. What do you think?
My initial take is why. It seems like such a wasted effort. Like, that's my initial take. Again, being always natural to the bear. I think the hyper personalization versus the Barbie just singing ABC to you and singing, you know, your favorite songs because she's understanding, that you like Frozen versus you like Moana, and so they can be very personalized based on your home and your demographic and your age, and they can grow with you. It's like almost Toy Story, but in real life. So that gets a little interesting, I think. But again, we grew up just fine. Do you need it? Can you spend money on other areas that might be better served for humanity? Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we talked about AI toys here already and the pros and cons of it being more engaging, potentially even like addicting for kids with young minds. But I think that the interesting thing here is the iconic brands that they're going to be pairing this with. And so, every time we talk about this before, it's like some new age AI startup. Like the fact that Mattel is putting their brand at risk here, I think is a big deal. And, it's very high stakes for them because if they screw this up, like these are iconic brands and will be very memorable. So it shows, I think, a degree of confidence in this as a new category and a new way of childhood interaction. Is it a good thing? I have to imagine that our kids will be playing with AI toys in the next couple of years.
Without a doubt. Could not agree more. I think, I think eventually it will be advantageous for kids to be interacting with these toys. And I think history shows Mattel, Lego, they don't screw up for the most part. So
But
with that,
last topic.
this is
Last
the main event for Lauren.
Oh yeah, exactly. I was so excited, and this is like we never talk when we talk about like parenting AI. It's always about like kids' toys and stuff.
I love
is
this.
about the creation of children, the conception of children, the first IVF baby born using AI. What do we mean by that? What it means is that so IVF is this. It's this incredibly complex process that my wife's company does for a living, and she can tell you all about. Part of it is like there is so much. There are these REIs, these reproductive endocrinologists, who are like the highest paid OBGYNs and like one of the most sought after talents in the world. They're used to both select the eggs, extract the eggs, insert the eggs, and there are like all of these human processes in IVF. And it's this like funnel that goes, you get you get 10 eggs out, of them, 8 are viable. You then kind of use sperm to turn them into embryos. You then insert them, they stick whatever. And in this funnel, you kind of drop off at every step. And today the process is kind of a crapshoot. You end up having to do multiple IVF cycles very often. And so they're trying to bring AI to this. And the first successful pregnancy to birth occurred of a IVF baby using only AI. They used all 23 steps of the IVF process without any human hands involved, using a combination of machine intelligence and robotics. So Vision AI selected the eggs, visioned the sperm, executed the fertilization with precision, and it resulted in a live birth. And so in the next couple of years, this might be a process that humans oversee, but are not directly moving around a needle on. Right? Would you allow your significant other to be inseminated via AI IVF, Brian?
Yes. They came up with the term automated conception. Like they're basically, because we both know so many stories of people that have struggled with IVF or naturally. And so you're improving people's odds and chances to get pregnant. Absolutely. Now it would be a different story of the robot conceiving with my wife. That's a whole weirder story. To me, this is where you're taking technology, you're taking AI and improving society. You're improving humanity. So I love these use cases.
We can't wait to get Lauren sick. We'll have to bring on Pod Portfolio.
100%.
All right. Can I wrap us?
Close this on. Let's go.
Ryan, by the way, you look great today. Hey, so in closing, garbage in, garbage out. One place there's no garbage, Dad.AI.
This is Dad.AI.